Hey guys, welcome to making Ning Ning's fried chicken. This is one of her staple recipes that she would make all the time for the family, and we loved it. We called it her whiskey fried chicken. So you need a handful of ingredients to do the marinade to start. You're going to need the garlic. You're going to need ginger juice. I use ginger paste. Soy sauce. This is the one she always uses, seasoning soy sauce. It's the best one. She likes some cheap whiskey. She goes Seagrams Vo. And then a sprinkle of salt. This is what's going to get your initial base and your marinade ready. And you're going to marinate this overnight. And then you're going to bread it before you cook it for dinner, lunch, whatever it may be. But the best results are to wait for it to marinate overnight. So right now we have 6 pieces of chicken. As you can see here, I like to wash my chicken. Obviously you're able to do whatever you like. I know some people say, oh, don't wash your chicken anymore. I will always wash my chicken. But for this recipe, this is for 6 drumsticks. Obviously scale it if you're making more for a party and so forth. But for 6 drumsticks, so what you'll need is about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic, which is close to, if you buy one of these pre-packs, that's about 1.5 things of garlic. I use a press. You can finely dice it as well. I did it just to speed it up. I already pre-diced it. So that goes in the pan. On that end, the ginger. So previously when making this recipe, I did 1 tablespoon of ginger, but I think for this recipe, I'm actually going to add a little bit more ginger on that end. So previously I did 1 tablespoon for every 6 drumsticks. I'm gonna do 1.5 things of ginger to add a little bit more flavor. I felt like it was delicious last time, but always looking for that little extra flavor, I think is going to make a big difference on that. So 1.5 ginger, 1.5 of garlic. From there, you're going to want to do 4 tablespoons of whiskey. And don't worry if you have a sensitivity toward whiskey or alcohol. This will burn out when you end up frying that whiskey. So we have 4 tablespoons of that. And then we will use 4 tablespoons of the seasoning soy sauce. And you don't want to use too much soy sauce too, because it'll turn the chicken darker than normal and it kind of takes over that flavor. So make sure you're using a light soy sauce. I prefer the seasoning soy sauce, and this is the one she uses specifically. So we got 4 tablespoons of whiskey, 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. So we're going to then mix this up, obviously. Sorry, didn't have my mixer ready. I like to whisk it up, get a nice whisk. And you're probably thinking this isn't enough marinade to cover the chicken. And the great thing is every couple hours you could re-marinate the top part of the chicken. And some of those juices out of the chicken will leak out too as it's just sitting there marinating. And that will add to the marinade. So no worries if it's not fully covered at the beginning, but you'll be able to get that nice little flavor. Throw in a little salt. I do like a little sprinkle. Try to feel like I'm covering the whole thing, but don't overdo it because the soy sauce has salt in it already, so you don't want to make it too salty. From there, you want to get a good mix. I would say give it 30 seconds of a healthy mix so that you're mixing the ginger, garlic, soy sauce, and whiskey and salt all together. This already smells absolutely amazing. So from there, a good chef always tastes his marinade before. Oh, delicious. Oh, this is way better than last time. Yeah, so you guys are gonna love this. So once that marinade is ready, as you can see here, that's going to be, you're gonna put your chicken in. I like to move that chicken around, get it in to start, cover it up, and that will be your marinade. for the night. And if you're making it for dinner, perfect. Making it for lunch, it'll be perfect as well. So I will attach a second video showing how to bread it and then fry it tomorrow. Thank you so much. All right guys, welcome to the second day. So I've been marinating the chicken overnight, flipping the chicken and basting it here and there. Did it about 4 times. I'd baste it with the bottom juices. So for the second portion, you're gonna need a big bowl where you're gonna fill it with the cracker meal and flour, and that's gonna be a 5-to-1 ratio. And then to initially get the chicken sticky to go into the flour, you're going to use 1 tablespoon of baking powder, the eggs, and then as much flour to soak up the remaining juice to make it sticky. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that and we'll get going. So getting everything ready as you're kind of prepping for the second day, you want to start getting the oil cooking, and you want that oil to reach a temperature about 330 to 350 to get a nice fry on the chicken. So as you're prepping everything, start boiling that oil. Make sure you have it on medium heat because you don't want it to overcook the fry, and then basically the chicken be raw in the middle. And so hopping in here, first things first, bring out your chicken. Want to bring it to room temperature about an hour before, so that chicken cooks evenly throughout. So for a 6-pack of chicken, I like to do 2 eggs. Can't really see. 2 eggs, and then from there, you use 1 tablespoon of baking powder. We'll put that in, and then we'll mix that up, give it a nice little whisk. And it kind of gets a little chunky, you'll see from here. But you want to whisk that real good to get in that baking powder, that egg, and everything. That'll create a sticky consistency. You're gonna probably have to break some of the chunks out too. So make sure you guys do that. And then from there, you're going to want to pour it over the chicken. And it'll create a nice even layer on top of that. And then as you're kind of getting that all ready too, you'll want to then cover the remaining portion with flour. So I use about probably a 1/2 cup should cover most of it. And you want to basically create a nice sticky consistency. You don't want to have it super wet, but you also want it sticky. Cover that. This is where you're gonna get a little dirty, so make sure your hands are washed. Basically from there, you're going to mix that in and get a nice sticky consistency. And if you need to add more flour, definitely do so, because you definitely want to soak up all those juices and make it nice and sticky. And with that, you can see here that mine is not as sticky as I like. It's actually a little bit more fluids, so you want to add a little bit more flour to that. Maybe a 1/4 cup on top of that. You want to soak up that remaining whiskey, soy sauce, ginger, and everything in between. Once you feel that it gets sticky enough, it's nice sticky, but you don't want it dry because it needs to be breaded in other flour and cracker meal. I know this is a little traditional, you probably would want to mix it up before, but this is the way I do it. Obviously, if you think mixing up all the liquids before is a faster way, do it your way. And then from there, you're going to see that it has a nice sticky consistency to it. You're gonna wanna then get a big bowl and do 5 parts flour to 1 part cracker meal. You don't want to add too much cracker meal. You want this one as well, the McCormick cracker meal, using the seafood section. And so for this, I did 1 cup and a quarter of flour and then a quarter of cracker meal. Mix that up, and you're going to want to shred those. Just throw them in. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to overdo the flour, because then you're just going to have a lot of crunch right there. Shake it off a little bit and then set it down. You can do that with all 5, and then from there you're going to check the oil temperature. All right, so now we are ready to fry the chicken. Make sure you guys are using mazola corn oil. This is one my grandma uses. She cooks all her food with that. So as you can see, the chicken's all breaded and ready to go. The oil is at a temperature of about 350. It'll cool down once the chicken goes in, but you'll put that in. And you definitely want to be quick with it, but definitely don't want to put it in too fast that it overboils. Perfect. And from here, it'll take about 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes, depending on how thick the drumstick is, could even be as fast as 13 minutes on how fast that chicken cooks. I always keep a thermometer. 165 is a done chicken. You can pull it out at 160 if you'd like, and let it sit for a couple minutes, because it will continue heating with that hot oil if you want it perfectly 165. My grandma uses chopsticks. She constantly spins it here and there. After it stays in about 2 minutes, she'll give it a nice spin to make sure that the chicken does not stick to the bottom. And I'll show you guys how that looks. So as you can see, the chicken is frying, and we're about to give it a nice spin. Give it a nice spin, not too rough, because you don't want the chicken to separate. And I'll get you your nice. Stay updated. I'll check back in. Alright guys, so we are starting to measure the chicken to make sure it's 165, or at least 160, and letting it sit for a couple minutes. This one is coming out at 168 in multiple spots, so you know it's all cooked. And that was the biggest piece. And as you can see, here are your beautiful drumsticks, and it is a little dark in here, so they look darker than they normally are, but they are very light. And we'll let that cool down for about a minute, and then we'll serve that with a side of rice. Thank you so much for watching.
Garlic, chop the garlic there, and when ginger, root juice.
Not just the juice. Not the ginger itself.
No, you have a squeeze and the juice is all
Ginger juice, garlic, what else?
And a little bit whiskey.
A little bit of whiskey.
And a little bit, and then light soy sauce. Mỗi tắc soy sauce, tắc soy sauce trên nó chọn nó cài hấp.
Light soy sauce, light color soy sauce. Otherwise, the chicken will be too dark, my mom says. And you have to marinate it overnight. Otherwise, no flavor. Okay, so then what do you do in the morning, Mom?
The morning thì phong ăn.
1 egg?
Yeah. Nếu ăn một phong one egg夠咯.
1 egg.
Too much egg 佢全 too much 不我真係要pop up 聲啊。
More than 1 egg will make the oil bubble.
And a little bit 嗰啲baking powder 冇乜人咁啊。
And a little bit of this. How much do you put in, Mom? Whoa, whoa, too close, Mom. How much, Mom, how much do you put in?
Uh,
Baking powder.
và 1/4 muỗng.
1/4 what?
Cái này teaspoon.
1/4 a
That's
teaspoon.
teaspoon.
You put that in the egg. Where do you put that?
Put that in the chicken with the egg.
And the chicken.
Yeah,
1 egg and 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder.
yeah. Rồi你要放2-3時間，跟你唔落去攞佢啱佢熟，跟住你照時呢計粒份。
Oh, so you also put some flour in.
Yeah,
How much? 2 to 3 teaspoons or tablespoons?
tablespoon.
The big spoon. 2 to 3 tablespoons.
After that, you mix up 佢，當然後加上來要淋佢啲 dry powder。
So that puts like a pasty coating on the chicken. Then you put it in the flour, right, Mom? Mom, what's in this bowl?
Yeah.
What's in this bowl?
Rồi cái bố này cái flour 同埋 little bit caramel.
How much cracker meal?
Caramel và the average maybe 1/5 của đó đó. Hôm nay mình phun bị cầu à.
1/5 of the flour.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get this straight here. So overnight you marinate it with some ginger juice, garlic, and a little bit of whiskey.
Yeah.
And then in the morning you crack an egg and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and a little bit of flour. Right, Mom?
Cái flour đi cho 2 年之後要照時，你叫呢 flour 個真係佢冇照時咧火喎，切啲咧雞嗰得咯。
Okay, so what she said was depending on how much juice is in the bottom of the bowl where the chicken was marinating, that will determine how much flour you add. So you just sprinkle flour and keep stirring the chicken in until there's no more juice. Then you put it in this flour cracker meal combination, right, Mom?
Yeah.
All right. That's it for now.
Caramel này mình phun係 1/5 của tí cầu, nó nhớ thì rồi 5 spoon flour rồi 1 spoon này là caramel cầu nó too much caramel too ngang là tại.
Too much cracker meal will make it too crunchy hard. Okay, if the oil's not hot enough, the batter off the chicken will fall off, my mom says. And there you go. Mom, how do you know, do you turn it or do you just leave it until it's done?
Cook on halfway, turn one time.
Got that?
One time, yeah.
Cook halfway, turn one side. How do you know when it's done on one side?
Hai cái turn có luồn blanc mà turn là có anh gì sắc sai đó.
All right, you heard it first here. When it turns golden brown, then turn it to the other side. And then when it's golden brown, you turn, then it's done?
So đi khỏi cái heat là medium heat.
Medium heat, Jonathan.
Thì nó còn thua hai đôi heat nữa để burn the chicken out inside the hot soup.
Got that?
Medium heat, okay.
Put it on high, the outside will cook and the inside will be raw.
Đó mà.
Okay, it's been 10 minutes.
Yeah. Gọi là turn over đó. Coi như gọi lại cái turn over.
One by one, turn it over, my mom says. Is this side going to take 10 minutes or is it going to be less long?
10 minutes. Để mình have to 10 minutes.
Another 10 minutes? What if it's smaller piece? What if it's smaller pieces?
Smaller pieces, and you'll before 10 minutes, and you'll pick up.
Alright, smaller pieces, less than 10 minutes.
So你還要依解啫夠你咯。如果你 chicken 係熟咧，你呢個輯即個膠佢咧，佢已經配呢個輯膠佢就淡淡煎，淡淡乾㗎啦，唔得嗌佢。
Oh, my mom said that if you gently stir the chicken, it'll prevent it from sticking to the bottom. Is that what you meant, Mom?
Yeah. 太熟佢就唔得嗌㗎啦，佢就配咗我。
Oh, when it's when it's done, it'll float.
Em phải thôi nên nên là tôi phải thả cái thằng nằm trốn nó chicken này vô đâu stack ở cái tao ba là mưa đâu.
Okay, she said after 20 minutes total, if you gently stir it and it floats, then and they don't stick to the bottom, then it should be done.
Phải đi cái thắp cái thả của nó rồi cái thằng nằm trốn nè, ngoài nó cái là.
So it's been another 10 minutes. My mom's just showing you how when she stirs it with the chopstick, they all float around and they're done.
Tụi kia đã cháu vừa thôi nên ý rồi ý luận của đại cháu.
For this size drumsticks, my mom says 20 minutes total will do it. And then of course there's the paper towel on top of paper bags with the chicken propped up aside to drain as much oil out as possible. And of course draining oil there. And there's your ancient Chinese secret.